I think a lot of the stories here are, will I say, intertwined. But let's start with the one that made headlines across the weekend. And, you know, look at the front page of the Daily Times. And the PRP have said that the fatal stampedes over palliatives are reflections of deepening pauperization of Nigerians. But we also have those who are saying that it was because of, this is because of systemic issues in Nigeria. Now, I know I had people complaining that, oh, why would people be sharing rice? And I mean, I have no qualms about private citizens, particularly like in Anambra, who come out to do good. If the government were doing their job, private citizens would not be donating food on such a large scale. If we had any sort of strong judiciary that holds fraudsters accountable, people would not be afraid to tell people to distribute it for them. But we know Nigeria. I've seen with my own eyes where food was distributed in trucks to be taken to different places. And the trucks went straight to the market and the traders were waiting for it. And they bought it and started selling, to people. Donated rice. So we see these stampedes, and somebody raised a point also on social media over the weekend. They said, it's not just food. We have a problem with queuing in Nigeria. People are always trying to jump queues, whether it's through bribery, through thuggery. Go to a line anywhere. Go to a bank. Go to the airport. I mean, look at the show of shame that happened this weekend at the airport. People were fighting on the gangway up into the plane. So my question for you is this. We know there's hunger in the land. We know people are desperate. But is that the only contributing factor? Because I know there's also the incompetence of those distributing. But what do you think? Because three at once. We had in the southwest, in the southeast, in the north. Like it was spread across Nigeria. That means that the hunger is not geographically located.
Yes.
But what would you say is your own take on these stampedes?
The stampede is, is a frightening development, an upsurge that no one was planning or rather expecting to happen. But if you look at it honestly, you cannot take away the fact that one of the major causes of this stampede is hunger. You can't take it away, Nnamdi. Let me tell you something. I've been to shows, okay? I've been to events where people came in droves, as in a lot of people were there. There was no stampede. Once you bring food or relief material or palliative, there would definitely be a rush for it. That rush is not as a result of the fact that people have not eaten before. It's as a result of the fact of the economic hardship that people are going through today. Some churches and faith-based organizations, currently now as I'm talking to you, they are giving out things to motherless babies, they're giving out things to widows, they are giving out a whole lot of things. And there's no stampede because of structure. Now, when I put these 2 points on a scale, I'll be able to analyze it very well. On the other hand, we have hunger, which is caused by bad government and administration. On the other hand, we have poor structure. Because people have shared things where there are structures. If you come, you sit down, whatever you want will be gotten to you. If you flip through your phone, you go through social media, you will see instances where seats have been kept and palliative material have been kept beside that seat. If you sit, you carry your own, you go. A new set of people will come, you sit, you carry your own, you go. I've seen it. And no one had any problem. There was no casualty. No one died. So a stampede is something that you cannot predict that, look, it will happen or it will not happen. But for this one that is happening now, I give you this reason is as a result of the hardship that we are facing in Nigeria. And then structure. Because if people who came to collect food behave themselves very well, or rather there was a structure in place to guide them on how to queue and collect the food, there won't be any stampede.
Definitely. I mean, it's very important that we're now seeing the governors putting in place these measures, but we're looking at lives that were lost. People went there to better their lives, let's say to help themselves, to make life better for their children, and they ended up losing everything. Now, these are not my words. These are taken directly from the accounts of the victims. They said that they were waiting outside the church gate. Let's begin with Abuja. Outside the church gate. And eventually, at least 3,000 people pushed that gate open, and everybody in front, people who were in front, were actually trampled upon. They were trampled upon as the crowd from the back made its way, pushed the gate open, and rushed in. And I'm trying to imagine over 3,000 people stepping on you, crushing bones. You know, it's difficult for me to really think of what that would be. Crushing human beings, crushing children, women who were there with their children because they were hungry. And then you start to ask yourself, why would the federal government be distancing itself from the reason why people are there, which is hunger? Because these policies have made Nigerians more desperate than ever. And I would like to also give some context by reading out some comments, which I thought one that was quite informative at the weekend. So I'm just going to read it very quickly because it offered a lot of perspective and it's a rather large one.
I mean, and while I'm looking for that,
yes,
you know, you made a valid point about the government distancing itself from why.
Yes.
You know, which was why I started with the front page of the Daily Times. The PRP saying they have pauperized Nigerians. You mentioned we're talking about stampedes. I've been in a mini stampede. Went for an event once when I was in university, and a fight broke out between two rival cults, and everybody started running out. And the staircase out of the place collapsed. And people started falling on each other. I remember I was near the bottom and there was this girl near me that was shouting, I'm asthmatic. Yeah. So when my friends saw me, like up behind, they started dragging me and I had to, by her neck, pull her
out of it.
Out of it.
Yes.
Like she was biting me as much. Just be biting me. Let me even know you are alive. So I can imagine, and that was, nobody died that day. When I say a mini stampede, were maybe 40, 50 people in that. So I'm trying to imagine thousands
of people.
I remember there's this hotel in Enugu that there was an event, a government event. I can't remember exactly what it was, but somebody in the hall jumped. And then when he or she landed, the floor vibrated.
At Independence Layout.
Precisely.
Yes,
everybody stood up and started to make towards the door. It was crazy. And that was just, it could have turned to a stampede. So everybody was rushing, and I think there were 2 exits. But it was scary. And these are not even up to 3,000 people. So imagine what that would have looked like for those who are involved. But let me look at these comments very quickly because it does tie to what we're discussing right now. An ex-user said, hunger may be the trigger here, but it is not the ultimate cause of the tragic deaths we often witness in Nigeria during events involving large crowds. The real issue lies in our lack of effective crowd management skills and our inability to address the raw, unrefined instincts for dominance that surfaces in chaotic situations. The problem is deeply tied to a pervasive culture of impatience, which exacerbates already volatile circumstances. The desperation for resources in Nigeria highlights a deeper societal issue, impatience driven by fear of scarcity and exclusion. This behavior stems from systematic inefficiencies, poor governance, and a lack of trust in fair distribution, making it a learned rather than a purely personal trait. And this is according to @Revelation Rabbi. So it provides a lot of perspective on this. Your thoughts, Vice
My thoughts on this is that you rightly pointed out the major thing, that hunger is the trigger. If these people were so hungry and no one made an announcement that there will be palliative, they will still be alive now. Hunger is the trigger. But my blame also goes to the organizers. When you have, let's take for instance, 100 bags of rice, and you have seen 3,000 people clustering on your gates, what was your intention? What plans were you putting in place to control them? You definitely know that your church staff or workers will not be able to control these people. What did you do? What did you just do? Because seeing this large crowd of people, knowing that there is hunger in the land, and not putting measures in place to ensure that at least the first people, or rather, there will not be any stampede, that would have gone a long way.
Let's bring it back to Anambra State, Okija.
Okay.
Now, Obijackson has been said to do this palliative distributions yearly, like an annual event.
Okay.
These stampedes have not occurred before. The stampede has not happened before. So it's easy now that we have passed or seen the news to assume, why wouldn't these organizers know? I mean, how could they not have ambulances? How could they not have more people to handle? Let me just finish it.
Okay.
How could they not have people to handle it? Because we know now, there's this saying that goes, you don't know what you don't know, you know what you don't know, right? I heard that when I was interning. So how can we just say that the organizers are the ones to blame for it? If this palliative distribution had been happening annually and they had never witnessed a stampede like this, how were they to know? I'm speaking about Anambra now, that this year's giveaway by the foundation would actually lead to a stampede such as this.
We are still nibbling around the hard age, which is hunger. Now, you can bear me witness that probably the number of people that turned out last year is different from the number of people that turned out this year.
Very much.
Hunger. Let me tell you, from COVID till now, there have been hunger. Economic processes were disrupted. A whole lot of things have not been in place since then. Even all over the world have not recovered from COVID. And that's when the use of this word palliative and all the rest of them came into use. Government are still sharing palliative. Removal of subsidy and all those things, they are also a form of what? Palliative. Let me tell you one thing. Hunger is the trigger. That once you have made an announcement that you want to share something, there is no way you can control. You don't even know the intention of the people who are coming there, how hungry they are, how desperate they are. They say that desperate situations deserve desperate measures. You know why I'm telling you this? If you don't put measures in place, you want to share out free food, and you don't put measures in place. This is not a wedding. This is not a bazaar. You can say the number of people are already known, okay? This is Christmas free bowls, palliative. And you ought to have at least put measures in place. How can you bring out something like that and you're not putting measures in place?
So, but here's the thing. And I don't want to blame the churches and blame the people like Obijackson who came out with this initiative, because I did see before and afters. It's not that things were not put in place. It's not that there weren't security. In fact, some people are accusing police of killing people. That police saying they must apologize. I also want to call out the police on this, because I've seen it where you have a stampede and rather than calm people down, they start flogging people. I've seen security agencies do it. They can't deny it. You just start flogging. And what do? You create a tidal wave going backwards, another one pushing. People on back are pushing forward, and they are trying to go back because they are being flogged backwards. But they're not the one putting the pressure from the back.
I mean, you painted
then you have people crumpled in the middle. So that's one thing. The second thing is the organizers. You mentioned that the Abuja Pogo, how did you let 3,000 people build up at your gate?
There were people that were actually sleeping on the road the night before.
Once you got there and people were...
people were sleeping.
And so this is management, you know. That the ex-user you put brought a lot of things. And if people were sleeping there before, a wise organizer...
slept for like a day or two
A wise organizer.
Knowing that...
people have started sleeping at the gate. Get them into the church, get them palliatives, and let them go. If so many people are here, let us start doing it early. The earlier, the better. But you see, sometimes they want crowd there for their own. Look at the crowd I give
We're looking at Holy Trinity. Would a church be after that kind of crowd?
Not the church. There are always PR people in everywhere.
Yes.
Let's remember that.
The individuals within the
individuals, church. And then there are also people, and this is the sad part, and this is the reason why people always rush. He talked about Nigerians, the fear of scarcity. My mom has a clearer term for it. It's called poverty mentality.
Yes.
That's no matter how much money you get, you'll still be poor in here. Which is why you go for events and you see event organizers, wife of the bride, all of them still, people that have good cars, hoarding small chops inside nylon and hiding in their car. They can afford it. Why are they doing that?
It's occasion food.
It's not your money that bought it.
Have you not heard?
You are packing
hoarding. Spirit that goes with occasion food.
You can't eat the whole small chops. Why is somebody hoarding 15 small chops in the car?
Or inside the handbag.
Inside the handbag. So, you know, these are the, and my mom calls it poverty mentality. So you have those organizers there too. Distribute rice. You are calling somebody from the back. Keep five there. Keep five there. People are seeing you.
What about the chicken?
So yes, somebody's on the queue, looking at you, putting 5 aside. This for friends of LOC. This for that Oga.
They'll break the queue.
But these things are not for Ogas.
These are things
they are not for organizers. They are for people who cannot afford
it.
You that has been made a bridge, why are you making yourself a gatekeeper? So that mentality, every Nigerian knows this mentality. Because even some people stampeding will do it if put in that position. That's why. So it's the perfect storm. You have incompetent distribution, no planning, security agents that are more like problem assisters, catalysts for problem, who don't even manage situation well, and you have hunger. Which is, as Mr. Chidi rightly said,
What about
is the
impatience? You know, the ex-user also talked about impatience.
I started at the beginning with that. I said whether in the bank, in the airports, anywhere, Nigerians do not like to queue. And that's because we don't have law and order, and I keep saying it.
Yes.
Law without sanction is a suggestion. My lecturer always used to say that. We don't have sanctions for these things. Go to any bus queue.
Whatever happened to the queuing culture?
It left. I think it left to the British and died off a little while after.
We
don't like
queuing. It's something that if you have people around who will enforce it, everybody will respect themselves. If you come to any environment where queuing is well respected, no matter wherever you go, if you come out, you will blend with that culture.
The only places where there is 100% compliance with queuing, and even we are trying to corrupt it, are the foreign embassies. And it's very, very sad. You know that there's nowhere you go that somebody is not trying to bribe somebody to help them jump the queue. It's the nature of Nigerians.
Whether you like it
impatience. It's even, you see the way we drive. People drive as if you're going to fold the road with you if you pass them. And, so it's part of our nature. That's impatience. It's our nature. So you always have that perfect storm. And when you have this, this hunger, people are saying,
it's a factor, Nnamdi, that you cannot control.
I think people are insulated from this hunger.
When you
don't know how bad it is.
Hunger and impatience, we put in a one box.
With incompetence.
You find that this situation, there is no way you could have prevented it from happening. When you come out to share food, probably you have a lot. For you to say, I want to give out 200 bags of rice, you have a lot. Hunger is not your problem. The people who are coming to collect that food, they are very, very hungry and they will be impatient. Let me tell you, during COVID, they announced that they will share that somewhere at Queens, in anywhere, that food is packed in one warehouse. You know that people drove from Trans-Ekulu. Someone just, send it on people drove from you see, before 1 hour, that Queen's place was clustered. You needed to have seen the number of people they were there. With five cars, they're coming to collect rice. It's free food. Government is giving it out. So why would I get a chunk of it? It's just like the government coming out to say, we're sharing money. Nigerians are getting 2,500 or 250,000 naira in their account. Have you gotten one? I have not gotten one. No one knows how this thing works out at the end of the day. But when you are sure that if you go there, you will get a bag of rice. Now, do you know the cost of a bag of rice?
100 plus.
Again, when you look at the measures being put by different governors on how to handle this kind of thing when it happens again, you will bear me witness that, yes, we have to blame. It is hunger. This hunger is a reflection of
governance. Yes.
Of the government. Why?
I agree.
Then, on the other part, you have to blame the organizers. There's no way you can bring police into this kind of a thing. It's a social thing. Right. You are trying to give out. Your cameras are there to cover what you are doing. So when the number was increasing, what did you do?
So do we have people who are even good at managing these things? You mentioned how it's done. I was very fortunate to be in Lagos during COVID. And I always like to knock government. But when something is good, we have to say it. And I remember then the LCDA chairman for Ikoyi Obalende, Fuad Tandalawao, what he did was he had them go door to door. So you didn't go and queue for palliatives.
That's wonderful.
Inside thick, densely populated areas like Obalende, like door to door. And they did it twice a week.
And you will be rest assured with this measure that the right people got the palliative.
Look, time is up, but can I just ask a question? Fuel price. There's a conspiracy theory that NNPC is trying to sabotage Dangote because they know their government, they can take a loss.
Yes.
That every time Dangote brings down the price, they'll go lower than his cost price to see if he's ready to keep up with them and be going lower. Almost as if, we could be wrong, but the general feeling is almost as if the NNPC and the government are trying to frustrate Dangote's refinery. But because now I see market forces, prices are coming down because there's one private refinery.
Yes.
So what's your take on the situation? Do you think that Dangote will win this and prices will keep going down?
He will definitely win because the only power that the NNPC would have had is if the Port Harcourt refinery is working.
The claim is still working. They said they close for Christmas.
Yeah, okay. Oh my God! If it is working,
that's their claim.
Right.
If it is working consistently, there will be, they can be able to, I love that power game where the market is open and is unbundled and different prices are coming and it brings the price of the fuel. It keeps on going down at the end. But if we can't have that kind of competition, Dangote would definitely, come up to be the only guy monopolizing the market at the end of the day. And that would definitely be bad for the full business.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister Chidi, for giving us time of day, joining us on the review this early this morning. I guess it's straight to courts from here.
No, I'm on horse.
Oh, you're close like
Okay.
Port Harcourt to Friday for the year.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thanks for
Barrister
having
Chidi.
me.